Hello, how you doing, wonderful people? Today we have a very special guest on the channel, Caleb, XJW Caleb. How you doing, Caleb?
Hi, I'm great. I'm very happy to be here finally.
Yeah, we had been planning for this for a while. I did appear in Caleb's channel like a few months ago, and we covered the
Yeah,
photo drama of creation.
yeah, a bit
So
of it because it's so
yeah,
long.
so today we're gonna be talking about how it is to grow up Jehovah's Witness in the Hispanic community, specifically in Mexico, because we both grew up in Mexico, right?
I know, and I'm very excited about it because honestly, like, uh, we should tell everybody. We should just acknowledge the fact that for some reason, you know, people think that we are the same person, and I'm here to let you guys know that we are the same person. I am XW Panda Tower. Is just
Yes.
XW Panda Tower is my second channel. My less important channel. My real channel is XW Caleb. So go subscribe to that.
Yeah, I and XJW Caleb are one, part of
Yes,
a
we're the same
trinity.
person.
Yeah. Cool. So we both grew up in Juarez. I don't know if you guys heard about
Yes.
Ciudad Juarez, right at the border with El Paso, Texas. Um, so if you guys are Mexican or Latin American in the comments, let us know, please. And yeah,
Yes.
how would you describe Juarez, Caleb? Because I'm sure it has an
Oh man.
infamous reputation.
Listen, look. It's kind of ugly, all right. Like let's not sugarcoat it. Like it's not a pretty city, okay? But it has really good food. Like it really does. It has really good food. People are nice, and Juarez is very it. The weather is also like really terrible. Like it gets like really hot and then really cold in the winter. But and the people are kind of like humble, but honestly, like I mean, I love going to Juarez. Like I go to Juarez. Like I try to go like at least like a couple of times a year when I can afford it. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like it's kind of ugly, but it has a special place in my heart. That's the best way that I can describe it.
Yeah, for sure. It's in the desert, it's super hot. But yeah, it does have good food, good burritos. I think burritos and flautas are the specialty up there,
Yes,
and it does have its own cartel. So that's it's quite a special city.
exactly. Like it has everything.
Yeah. So and you also grew up in Guadalajara, right? That's a very different city.
That's true. I moved to Guadalajara when I was my family moved when I was like 13 or something, and then we moved back to Juarez for a little bit when I was like 19 and 20, and then I lived like for the rest of my 20s in Guadalajara. So yeah, I've been pretty much living the same amount of time in both in Guadalajara and in Juarez by now.
That's awesome. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Caleb. Guys, if you have questions for Caleb, we'll leave that for the end of the stream. So we're gonna cover a bit of your upbringing and your waking up story. But let's start a little bit about your childhood. So tell us, who were your parents and how it was growing up in this religion.
Oh man, I feel like I'm back in the psychiatrist. Jesus. It's just I feel like we have a lot of trauma in our child. Like whenever somebody asks us about our childhood, we're like, "Oh man, let me tell you." Like, "Oh, what's the version that you can hear?" you know. But yeah, I mean, my childhood. I was born in the religion. Basically, my father had been a Bethelite for a while, and he was an elder, and my mother was a pioneer. They met in an assembly, so like I was Jehovah's Witness since before I was in the picture. Like, my father and my mother were working together to become actually like circuit overseers, or my father to become circuit overseer, and my mom to be his wife. And that's when I came to the picture. Like I got their first assignment. That's when my mom got the news that she was pregnant with me. So that's kind of how it started. Since they were training to be circuit overseers, they had actually gone to like half of the congregations in Juarez by then. So when I was growing up and we went to assemblies and conventions, I was extremely used to having a lot of people who I never knew just go to my parents and just say, "Hi, hello, brother Lopez, how are you? Oh, hello, how we miss you so much." And you know how that is in the Jehovah's Witness stuff. That's like status. So that's kind of that's the environment that I grew up in. I grew up in an environment where my father was an exemplary elder, and my mother was like the exemplary wife, and we were the exemplary family. If you've ever seen Jehovah's Witnesses cartoons like Caleb and Sophia, that's pretty much our family, except like we were like three kids instead of just two. But that to outsiders, that was the family. You know, we were born in the religion. We grew up in the religion, and even when we moved back to like Juarez and whatever, we stayed in the religion. I stayed in the religion like until I stopped going until I was already like in my 20s. So my whole childhood was just spent as a Jehovah's Witness, and it was the worst.
Yeah, for sure. And you did mention in your waking up story that your mom got married pretty early, right?
Yeah, my mom got married when she was like 18. I think there may have been like a little bit of grooming over there because my father was like already. I think my mom got married when she was like 18 or 20, and my father was like 25. So yeah, my mom also like her mom converted when my mom was like 5, so she was also like in the religion since the start. And my grandfather also converted when my father was like very like in his infancy. So my father also grew up in the Jehovah's Witness religion. So yeah, it was just I was fully immersed from day one.
Yeah, it's rough. And for those that don't know, getting married early in Mexico is super common, and especially in this religion where, if you wanna get down to action, you do have to get married. So, uh,
Yeah,
you know, girls are pretty naive growing up in this religion, and they don't know how to, yeah, they don't know how to put boundaries up, so they're easy prey for these men with higher privileges. You know.
yeah, yeah. And it's really sad because I feel like when I was growing up, I mean, not growing up. When I was waking up, I heard a lot about like grooming and all of that stuff, and I was like, that I've never seen that. And then just thinking about it, like allowing my brain to like process that, I'm like, oh man, not only have I seen it, I've seen it 3 times in like 3 different congregations, that just plain grooming happening. Like, man, in one of the congregations, like one guy was 31, 32. He was dating a 16-year-old, and he dated her until they got married. And they got married like that was 5 years ago. Like that wasn't even that long ago. So yeah, no, it's just really it's really bad. It's really bad in the Jehovah's Witness religion.
Yeah, it's rampant, especially in Latin America. And how was what were your earliest memories of going out in field service or going to the
Oh
meetings?
my
How was that?
God. It was, I remember being cold. I remember going out in the ministry like in the winter. And I remember I had a long like uh overcoat, like a reddish, dark reddish overcoat that I really liked because I don't know, it made me feel like cool, right? When you're a kid, like you have just clothes that make you feel cool. And when you're a Jehovah's Witness, you don't really have that many options, right? So that's the thing that made me feel cool. So I remember like going like that and then just like covering everything. Like my mom would cover everything because I always would get sick, right? Because we were a child and outside it was like below zero sometimes. So we would just get covered like with like scarves and everything, and we would just go out like that for a long time. Another one of like my earliest memories is almost passing out in the field ministry during the heat. So it was just like either cold or hot. So when I was about like 7, we went to the ministry, and I didn't have my banana milkshake. That was like the only thing that we had for breakfast, because you're rushing and you're like, oh, we need to go, and you know how it is, right? So I didn't have it because I didn't like it and I didn't want to have it. And when we were preaching, I lost sight, and then my knee started to like feel weak, and I started to fade away. I had to like I told the other person, because I was with a brother. I wasn't with like my family. I was with another Jehovah's Witness, and I told him, hey,
Mhm.
I think I'm pass out, and we had to move to like a shadow, and then the guy was like super nervous. He was my father was an elder, and he was uh a ministerial servant. You know, like the weird dynamic that it goes like just like boss and
Yeah.
with those two. So he was like very nervous because he didn't know what to do. He got into a little store. He got me a Coke, and I remember that when I was drinking the Coke, I started regaining my vision. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, that was those are where like those are my memories being in the Jehovah's Witness when I was a kid. It's just suffering, I think.
Yeah, that's man. That's life as a JW in Mexico.
Yeah,
You're expected to go out 2 hours in the ministry, knocking on strangers' doors, and your reward is a Coca Cola
yeah,
in the little tiendita at the end, right?
yes, exactly. And the worst part is that like my reward used to be at the end. I wasn't even allowed to have a Coke during the middle. That was the one time that during the preaching, I was allowed to have one because I was dying, you know. But no, I wasn't allowed. Obviously, you're not supposed to like be eating in the ministry because what are the people who don't open their doors to you going to think, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And how would you say people received the Jehovah's Witness message in Juarez?
I mean, the same way that they receive it everywhere in the world. They just don't. I think they were they were more open though in Juarez. They were more open in Juarez. I feel, especially because we moved to a very humble congregation. And in that congregation, it had a very poor area as its territory, a very poor area, like
Mm,
some of the poorest areas of the whole city. That's where I used to preach when I was growing up. And those people, they are. I don't want to get canceled or anything, but they are, less educated, shall we say, and they're usually believers. And that's kind of, where Jehovah's Witnesses almost sort of thrive because Jehovah's Witness theology is kind of like pseudo intellectual stuff that is kind of dumb, but
mhm.
if you aren't really educated, then it may fool you. So it kind of worked with those people because they were already predisposed to listen about the Bible and they kind of needed a community. But I mean, I remember maybe I during 10 years maybe one family converted. I think there was just one family who converted to our congregation. My father
Damn.
converted one man as well whose wife was already a Jehovah's Witness, so that was, it's a little bit easier.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it wasn't as bad as in other places, like as horrible and boring, I guess. But I don't know, like it's pretty much the same. Jehovah's Witnesses don't really convert people anymore, I feel.
Yeah, that's true. Not as much as back in the 80s, 90s. And
Exactly, but not anymore.
yeah, but they do have more success. I guess the religion has had more success in Catholic majority countries. So you see Mexico is packed with Jehovah's Witnesses, but
Yeah.
the converts, the ones right now are just children of the previous converts. And
Yes.
it's just they go to these Catholic people, and if you're a Catholic watching this, I don't mean to sound disrespectful, but in general, a lot of Catholics, like, they don't really read their Bibles that often. So when
Yeah.
you when they when they're approached by a Jehovah's Witness who gives this appearance of, oh, I know a lot about the Bible, that I guess that catches their attention. And then I guess being a Jehovah's Witness in Mexico was a lot like, oh, we're not Catholic. We're not
Yeah.
idol worshippers.
Yes, but not anymore though, because I feel like, and I've talked about this, especially on a recent video. I know I just edited this video, so that's why I'm thinking about it. But I feel like they've moved on from that like pseudo intellectualism, and now it's more about the feels and about go to the website and watch some videos
Mm,
and feel good at the Kingdom Hall, and then just keep going to the meetings. Like I don't feel like there's any of that like pseudo intellectualism of we get the Bible the best anymore. And that I feel, if anything, that's why they can't convert people, because if you just sell the feels and all you have is the Jehovah's Witnesses, then it's just boring. Like you're not gonna convert anybody because it's just boring.
yeah, that's true. Okay, so we have a cool question. I'll put some questions on from
Yeah,
Khalid bin
sure.
Walid. What was it like never having a birthday?
It was really bad, honestly. Look, when we were growing up, my parents kind of gaslit us into like thinking, oh, you don't need birthdays, you don't even want birthdays because we can celebrate you anytime. And my parents, for a while, they were actually surprisingly good at that. Like they actually did uh have like random parties where they would invite everybody in the congregation, and we would have a nice time. So that was nice. Like, I could actually point to parties that I had, even though it wasn't my birthday, and it was like a child's party with like a jumping thing, and that kind of stuff, like candy and cake,
Hmm.
that kind of stuff. Kind of like a birthday party, but without
Yeah,
the
with the
birthday. It
brinca
was just like a
brinca.
child's party. Yeah. So it was, that tempered it a little bit, but um one time I was I studied one semester of college, one semester, and during that semester, somebody heard that it was my birthday, and I was like, what, like 20, 22 probably uh, uh, yeah, at the oldest, and it was the very first time that that anybody had ever sang happy birthday to you, like to me. And at
Mhm.
first I'm like, oh no, don't do it, don't do it. And then I had to, when they finished, I had to, even though nobody like was like singing like that enthusiastically, like I was just like, I've met them for a couple of months, and that's it. I was just like a classmate, and not even like a very social one at that, right? But I had to hold back tears because it moved me. Like I was in my very early 20s, and for the very first time somebody has sang happy birthday, which I believe is like the most awkward part of the birthday. And I was like, wow, this is kind of nice. I can't believe that all of these people just sang a little song for me. And I and nobody noticed, because obviously, when you're a Jehovah's Witness, you learn how to push your feelings to the ground, right? But yeah, that was my experience. Like I felt like I didn't miss it. But if I cried the first time that somebody sang happy birthday to me and I was in my early 20s, I feel like I was gaslit into thinking that I didn't miss it. That I feel that's the best answer to the question that I can come up with. Because it's
That's
very
true.
hard,
Yeah.
Like I feel like as a child you get gaslit into believing you like things or you don't like things, uh, depending on the religion, not depending on what you actually like.
Yeah, I think like not celebrating birthdays by itself is not a huge deal, but I think it's just the sum of all those little prohibitions that kind of
Yes.
sum up, it's like it's not only birthdays, it's also other holidays, not saluting the flag, not saying bless you
Yes.
when someone sneezes. So it's all those little things that do add up and make you stand out, and people will ridicule you from time to time.
Yeah, and it was just really bad because as well, like I don't know, like we probably grew up like watching some of like the similar like cartoons and stuff. And I don't know like how it was with your family, because I am a little bit older than you. So
Hmm.
I watched like all where I was forbidden to watch different cartoons that you weren't forbidden to watch. But even there, like you can't watch the same cartoons. I was never allowed to watch Dragon Ball Z, and that was the only cartoon that kids wanted to talk about. I'm Mexican. Like, what other cartoon do kids want to
Yeah,
talk about in Mexico? So even there, you become isolated because not only are you not allowed to like celebrate anything, but you're not allowed to engage into the pop culture of the children and what the children are talking about. So yeah, no, it's really bad, man. Don't raise your
yeah.
children as Jehovah's Witnesses. That's
No,
what I'm saying.
and and the Hispanic community had so many blacklisted shows that, well, depending on the
Oh yeah,
family too, but I mean Dragon Ball for sure. And for those that don't know, Dragon Ball is huge in Mexico and Latin
yeah,
America. Like
yeah.
I think, I don't know if this was a joke or it was a meme, but I that the different cartels held a peace fire when the creator of Dragon Ball died. I don't know if it's true, but I don't doubt it.
I don't doubt it either. I because it's very ingrained in the culture. But
Yeah.
we should go into like, because we're both from that culture. So let's go through like the cartoons that were forbidden. Because for me, it was besides Dragon Ball Z, it was obviously the Smurfs. I couldn't watch the
Yeah.
Smurfs. I couldn't watch. gargoyles, like the cartoon gargoyles. I couldn't watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles because
No
violence.
way. Really?
Yeah, they fought a lot. They fought a lot. Well, that's violence. In fact, I couldn't even watch Spider-Man for the longest time until the movie came out, and I became a huge fan. And I was like, I'm watching. I don't care. I'm watching Spider-Man, right? But I couldn't watch Spider-Man because it was dangerous. And obviously, no manga animes, no Pokemon, no Digimon, because Mon. I don't know if the people here in the audience know this. Mon is actually diminutive of demon, so you can't watch Pokemon. So
Yeah,
but yeah,
that's
Yu-Gi-Oh
I
as well.
remember.
I really got into Yu-Gi-Oh for a little bit, and then my parents figure it out, and then my parents like saw some of the cards that were a little bit creepy, and they were like, "Ah, this is going into the fire pit." So I had to burn them.
Yeah, the Pokemon was definitely my parents never banned Pokemon. I did grow up with that, but my uncle was really against it because it said and I did live with him for a bit, so I had to hide my Pokemon cards and my Pokemon Coliseum for the GameCube, so he wouldn't see it. I remember that.
What else? What else? Was there like a cartoon that you weren't allowed to watch, or were you like one of those lucky bastards that could watch any?
No, I mean, I guess it was understood that the Smurfs were bad, those pitufos. But well, I was never interested in that, anyways. But
Yeah,
besides
they look
that,
boring.
yeah, besides that, no, I mean, just the holiday movies that were not good, and like anything with magic, like Harry Potter, of course. But
Yeah, Harry
yeah,
Potter, of course.
to be honest, my parents were never too stuck up with entertainment wise because I did watch
You lucky
Pokemon and
bastard.
yeah, I lucked out for sure. But another thing that a lot of Mexican Jehovah's Witnesses don't well criticize is boxing, which is huge in Mexico
Oh yeah,
because it's violent,
yeah,
so to say. But my dad
yeah.
always watches
No,
it, so
what? That's
yeah.
that's crazy. You know what? Some Jehovah's Witnesses actually do watch boxing, like or like that kind of like they watch it for the sport. But I realized that when I moved, not in Juarez. In Juarez, nobody watch. As far as I know, maybe I don't know. I don't know the culture now. But as far as I know, like in the circles that I moved,
Mhm.
the whole circles that I moved, nobody did that. But in Guadalajara, some brother did do that, and there was like a slightly more permissive culture because also like in Guadalajara the bars, there's like sports bars and shit. It's not just like
Yeah.
horrible like cantinas where you go to get drunk, which is
Mhm.
what you used to get in Juarez. So in Juarez, going to a bar was like, you wouldn't go to a bar as a Jehovah's Witness. You just wouldn't, right?
Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
in Guadalajara, like, you would go to a bar, like maybe if you were with like cool people and you could even share a beer or something. So it was a little bit more permissive. And those are the people that I knew watched box, but no, I never watched it. Even as an adult, I don't know. Like now, I feel like I never got into it, so I don't know if I can get into it. I do watch BattleBots, like so, because I'm a
Okay.
nerd. So BattleBots I do watch like religiously every single season.
Yeah, I think Jehovah is still mad at you because it's still violence.
Yeah, I mean it's technological violence, but it's still
Yeah.
violence.
And oh, how about novelas? Here's a cool comment. Novelas were a no-no for my Mexican JW friends. My mom did watch them. Depends on the family, I guess.
No, my mom hated them. My mom absolutely not only did not watch them, but hated them. And actually not only hated them, but she would get upset if they were playing a telenovela in the restaurant that we were eating. Like that's how much like because she was like, oh, this is the worst for the culture and whatever. So yeah, no, I never I sometimes like every now and then I was like in a doctor's office, right? Look, just waiting, and there was like a telenovela just playing, and I was like, man, that's fucking interesting. That guy has an evil twin. I did not see that coming. This is insane, like, right? So, but I don't know. I never actually watched any.
Yeah, my mom even watched La Rosa de Guadalupe, which is a
Really?
yeah, it was just for
That's
those that don't
religious,
know.
though.
It's extremely Catholic. Like for those that don't know,
Yes.
this soap opera, this novela, like it was Catholic, and at the end of every episode, like people would pray to the Virgin Mary, and she would do a miracle and like leave a white rose like miraculously.
Yes.
It was
These are
crazy.
you sure that your parents are Jehovah's Witnesses, man? Because it
Yeah,
doesn't sound like it.
they're at meeting right now, but yeah, I guess they were more relaxed than most on the entertainment part for sure.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, so there you go, guys. There's a little context for you. Okay, so tell us a little bit more about your story. So, how were your parents regarding discipline? Were they harsh? Were they easy on you?
They were very harsh. Discipline was usually like not only was discipline around like obedience. Obedience is very big in Jehovah's Witnesses. Like there's not really that much worse that you can do against your parents than disobedience. Disobedience is terrible. But since my father was also an elder, and since my parents were very much into appearances, that I was I was afraid of like breaking the rules, either inside because of the rules of obedience or whatever, or being seen as like, I don't know, not an exemplary Jehovah's Witness. So even at the Kingdom Hall, for instance, we had to make sure that we were the ones that did not get up in the whole meeting to go to the bathroom, because that's other children, but we are special because we were from our father is an elder, and he has a reputation. So there was a lot of pressure going up, and it was very restrictive. I've said on my channel that Jehovah's Witnesses use physical punishment, and I got physical punishment till I was a teenager. I used to get spanked in my bare butt uh, at least a couple of times a week. It's just it was very restrictive in that area. And also, not only did I have to excel in the congregation, but I also had to excel at school and stuff, because like we just had to. And also, like, we were Jehovah's Witnesses. What were people gonna think if we Jehovah's Witnesses were like bad at school, right? So yeah, I feel like there's a lot of pressure put on kids. And even I think you've seen like the Caleb and Sophia animations where Caleb is tempted, and then all of the angels are looking in to see what he does.
Yeah.
That's the pressure that you have as a Jehovah's Witness kid. Like, you think that you really carry the pressure of the world on your shoulders, because you really feel that Jehovah is looking at you, and Satan is looking at you and figuring out who's going to win, depending on whether or not you have a birthday cupcake or not.
Yeah, it's harsh. It's like you're in the middle of this cosmic battle between
Yes.
God and the devil, and like your actions will somehow prove like God's how right God is, which makes no sense, but
Yes, and it's just
that's the
this petty
pressure.
battle as well between
Yeah.
coworkers, but it's just you're in the middle of it.
Yeah, like you're the little pawn in Jehovah's game, and
Yes.
watching Pokemon is like the decisive factor if you're loyal or not.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Damn, so that's really hard. So I mean, I don't know. I would call your that's an abusive upbringing, especially from your dad. It's damn, like physical punishment is just so widespread in Mexico, and even it's even worse in the JW community, like really bad. I think
Yeah.
I don't know how common it is in with the white witnesses, because no, I didn't grow up in a white congregation, but damn, it just happened so many times and with the Hispanics.
Yeah, no, it's honestly it's terrible, and that's why like I hated when Jeffrey Jackson like came into the ARC, and they're like, no, 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 we've never done physical violence to children or physical discipline. We've always been against it as a religion and all that stuff. Like, no, no, you haven't. There's an entire generation of people like me who grew up be, being physically beaten. That's what it is. Like, you get beaten for doing the wrong thing, and that's what I grew up, doing. It was very bad, very common for me as a white lol, says JWAG. Yeah.
Damn, all right, well, I guess it's a generational curse across races.
There,
Damn
there,
it.
there is a watchtower, an older watchtower, where they talk about like a child who's been misbehaving, and then they're getting dragged to the bathroom to get like physically disciplined. So it had to be, somewhat prevalent among the Jehovah's Witnesses. I don't think mine was like an isolated event.
Yeah, Apostate Ministry School. We had them last week. Hey, how you doing, Cam? Yeah, also me. So damn, I guess if you're Hispanic or black or white, you're gonna get beaten if you're in this religion.
Yeah, you
You're
just
not
need to
getting
be a
spared.
Jehovah's Witness kid. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. That's the only requirement. And I remember that my parents, they don't. I mean, I just have like maybe two memories of being hit. I don't think they did it more than that. I guess they would just threaten me. My dad would just threaten me with the belt. He would like try el cinto, like bring me the belt, but he
Yeah,
never
yeah.
he never really carried it through. So props to him for
You
that.
lucky bastard.
Yeah,
You
it was just a threat, but I guess it was just normalized.
No, 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 no. When I was a kid and they told me to get the belt, as a kid, like from the age of like 8-ish, I knew which belts hurt more and which belts hurt less. I knew that the thicker ones, they hurt less during. No, the thicker ones hurt more like during, but they hurt less. Like they didn't last for a while. Whereas the thin ones, they hurt less at during the moment, but it could hurt like for hours at a time. So that's a thing that I learned when I was a child, when I was
Damn.
very, very, very young, because I was the one who had to pick the belt that I was gonna get whipped with. So yeah, no, I wish I had your parents. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, damn, man. It's such a sick little ritual of bringing your own,
Yes.
bringing the belt. It's
And
not
my
good for the
parents,
psyche.
no, my parents were proud of it because they were like, yeah, that way the suffering starts from the beginning. Like from
Yeah,
they used to boast about it with other parents. They're like, no, that's the suffering starts then. It's perfect. And now I look back and I'm like, I mean, I don't have a child, right? But I have a dog and a cat, and I wouldn't treat them like that. Like I feel like I treat them with more humanity sometimes that I was treated as a child. So yeah, no, it's just childhood in the Jehovah's Witness religion. I think whether you're a Hispanic or not, it's just gonna be terrible. Like it may be like really terrible, or not as terrible like with you, but it's gonna be terrible anyway.
yeah. It's just different levels of bad.
Yeah.
Damn, that's rough. Okay. All right. So that's how you grew up, and um, damn. So where can we pick up in the story? So once you're over your teenage years, how was your young adult life now?
Well, we got separated from my father because my father was very abusive, and then he became physically abusive when I was 18. So, and he became physically abusive to me as well. I still have an injury from that. So, after that, that's when we moved from Guadalajara to back to Juarez for a while, right? Because we were like, oh, maybe he will, recapacitate, right? That obviously never happened. But I kind of like started to take care of my family when I was 18, which was, I mean, it was some of the most stressful times of my life, I think. Because imagine, like, you are 18, and not only are you a Jehovah's Witness, and you're trying to like be an exemplary Jehovah's Witness or your congregation, because the elders told you that if you are not spiritual, then your father, who's in the other congregation, like talking shit about you, then he wins, right? So that was what I was doing, and on top of that, I was trying to like provide for like a family of like four of us, and it was in 2009. It was in the middle of the recession, so there were no jobs, right? So it was extremely, extremely, extremely tiresome. But after a while, like I got a job in Starbucks, and then we moved back to Guadalajara, because we thought that we would just have like a better chance of getting like proper like good jobs and shit. And we still like all throughout. I went to the meetings. I didn't become a um, a ministerial servant, even though I was pretty much getting groomed by it, and I help elders with like their tasks and all that stuff. But I didn't become that one because I was moving like between congregations, because I moved to Juarez, and then I moved to Guadalajara, and then in Guadalajara we moved to a congregation again. So throughout like, all of that time, like there wasn't any time for me to like prove myself and become a ministerial servant properly. But I was pretty much doing what ministerial servants do, like anything. Ministerial servants are basically the assistants of elders. That's just what they are. They're just glorified assistants of elders. And I was already like, I was already the assistant of my father when we we lived with him. And when I moved away, I would just became the assistant of different elders in different congregations. Like wherever congregation I was the assistant. I was the technically, like, I had that role. I even gave like the speeches, when somebody doesn't show up in
Damn.
the midweek meeting. I was the go-to one when somebody doesn't show up, but to read in the Watchtower, I was the go-to one. So, it was, I was extremely, extremely deep in the religion. I hated it though, because I've always had ADHD. So just sitting for 2 hours listening to Jehovah's Witnesses speak, that's torture, especially if you're a kid, right? But
Yeah.
I kind of just became a little bit better, because that's why I wanted to like stay active. Because if you're active during an assembly, you don't have to be seated all the time. Like maybe you can just go and clean the bathrooms, and then you chat with the people where you're cleaning the bathrooms, and that is like way like 1,000 times better, right? So yeah, I was extremely inside the cult until I was like in my early 20s.
Yeah. So you never got to experience the joys of ministerial servicing.
No, did you though? Like I haven't watched all of your videos. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if you wanna reveal that either.
Yeah, for sure. First of all, thanks Sushin Liao for the super sticker. Thank you everyone who
Awesome.
has put some money on my bin. I'm gonna buy some perfectly legal alcohol from that. uh,
Yes.
yes. All right, guys. Yeah, I did become a ministerial servant, and I was a pioneer for a year.
Really?
So yeah, it was fine because I was still a believer at that point. But I did get disciplined by the congregation, and I was like reproved. So I know I let Jehovah down, and
Yeah. Yeah.
I lost the MS privilege and my pioneering.
You didn't tell me about this. Now, I have any second thoughts about being here in your association. Now that I'm hearing about this, I
I
didn't know this.
know. Yeah, I'll tell you guys what that was about, but maybe on my video where I describe my waking up. But
Yes,
yeah,
you don't
suffice
want. Yeah, don't say it here. You wanna you wanna
yeah.
you wanna be like, oh, I got this fellowship for something. So subscribe.
Subscribe. You'll
Yeah,
find
yeah,
out.
of course, of course.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't disfellowshipping, but it was like reproof. So censura. It was like um
Public reproof.
public reproof. Yeah. So
Ooh, it
that
was a
was
good sin as well, then.
yeah. Damn. Yeah. And
You
damn
gotta
it is
subscribe, guys. You gotta subscribe if you.
yeah,
I want to
guys.
know this story. I need to subscribe right now.
So it was just a public humiliation ritual. It's
Yes, yes, it really is.
yeah, and the when you're a believer, the elders have you by the balls. Like
Yes.
you feel you have to confess every little thing of your intimate life, and it's incredibly
Yeah.
intrusive. And so
Yeah.
yeah, I think
Well,
I think we can talk
yeah.
about it a little bit. Sexual repression.
Yeah, when I was growing up, I discovered porn kind of like early on, and I think I was having this conversation with my partner. I think yesterday even, and I told her it's just I've always like, when I was a kid, I was like a very precocious kid. Like I was always, when people are like gay or like in the LGBTQ community, and they're
Mhm.
like, yeah, no, and it's just I knew that since I was like a little child that I was that, right. I knew since I was a very little child that I was straight and that I wanted to have sex, even if I didn't know what sex was. And I think it's because like I grew up hearing about sex in the meetings, like so I grew up even if I wasn't actively thinking about it in the like, it was just in my head, like this idea of sex, and that was extremely alluring. But I had like periods where I would watch porn and then I would just feel good, right? Because I was like, oh, like I feel fine because I didn't feel as sexually repressed. Like now I understand, like that's what
Yeah.
it meant. Like it was, I finally was experiencing post nut clarity for the first time ever, right? So
Yeah.
I had like seasons where I would like watch porn, and then I would just like cry to like my parents and be like, oh, I have an addiction and I've been watching porn a couple of times a week, and, I don't know what to do. It was really humiliating. It was really, really, really bad. So we had the computer in the living room until I was like 15, and it was horrible. It was just extremely bad. I think, I can just reveal here that delayed my uh my own exploration of my own self, my own sex, because I didn't even know how to masturbate until I was like well into like my teenage years. Like I was leaving my teenage years until like I learned how to do it, which I feel like it's just that's the amount of sexual repression that you're in, that I wasn't even allowed to like, you know experiment with my own body like everybody does all of the time, when they're teenagers. So yeah, no, sexual repression is extremely damaging, and it was something that I carried uh through the rest of like the until a few years ago. Like it's just you carry that until you wake up, basically.
Yeah, it has lasting consequences, and I guess it's a phenomenon that it's universal in high control religions and like strict Christianity and Islam.
Yeah,
It's just I'm sure all the boys in the audience. I don't know how common it is with girls. I'm sure it also happens, but yeah, it's just when you're a teenager and your experience is all these new feelings, and you like you if you jack off, that's a sin. So you're
yeah,
already that's not healthy for your mental health. It's such a natural thing, and it's made to be seen as like, oh, you're disgusting for doing that, for
yeah,
releasing your your potent sex drive that the creator gave you for some reason, and you're
yeah.
producing all these hormones, and oh, but you're the bad guy if you if you
But you're
decide to
not
wind one
supposed
up.
to do it.
You're not supposed to do it. You're just supposed to have blue balls. And
Yeah, you
yeah,
wanna you wanna know why you're not supposed to do it from the Bible? Uh, Listen, you're not supposed to do it. Okay.
yeah, there's this verse in Colossians that says to deaden your sexual members, and yeah,
Exact.
that's
That's it.
definitely
That's
about
the one.
masturbation.
Yeah.
Damn, yeah, and damn. Well, I'll reveal some of my personal experience because
Sure.
I guess
I can't
most
be sober for this. Let's hear this out.
I guess most JW boys, even I mean they all watch porn at one point, and I guess that was my case too. And I remember I I confessed it to the elders one time, and I, it's just so awkward for both the elders and for me because I'm sure they
Yeah.
also have jacked off. You're being judged by these
Yes.
men who have also done the exact same things, but they're supposed to like judge you. And I remember very clearly, they were asking me like, "Oh, what kind of porn were you watching?" Like, and then one of the elders, this is this fat dude. He's like always sweating. Just he was always sweating in the meetings, and then he looks at me straight in the eyes and he says, "So, when you watch porn, do you masturbate?" And I was like, I just couldn't believe it that we were having this conversation. It was, yeah, like
Even as a
dead
believer.
serious. Even as a believer, that was so uncomfortable because what the fuck? Like, what do you need? What do you need to know? Like that, it doesn't matter. What matters is that I was watching it, right? That's why I feel bad.
Exactly.
And
No,
and
but they need to.
you
They have to know everything. They have to
they
know
have to
everything when
know. They
when you don't.
probably, yeah, they probably just added to their collection of like kinky material on their head so they can replay it later. They're crazy.
Yeah. Panda masturbates. There you go.
There you go. Yeah, bad boy. Uh, Paul was definitely sexually pressed. Yeah, probably. uh,
Yeah, Paul is the one. Look. That is also something that I remember from my childhood. I remember hating Paul because Paul is the one that fucked everything up for us. If it wasn't because of Paul's writings, we pretty much would not have anything against like having sex like outside of marriage and whatever. We have like a couple, but like it wouldn't be as much. Like Paul wrote like most of that stuff, and it makes sense. Like he was how do you call it?
a doomsday
When he was
prophet.
Saul. No,
Persecutor, opposer.
yeah, but like a Pharisee, he was a
Uh,
Pharisee. He was a Pharisee, so he was very much into rules, right? So when he gets into Christianity, he's like, oh, you know what this needs? Rules. I'm great at that. So those are. I remember hating Paul because I was like, if you hadn't ruined it for us, I remember wondering and begging that maybe Paul was gonna turn out to be like some sort of like apostate or something, and then like we would have to like discard that part of the Bible, and then I'll be free, to actually have sex with someone.
Yeah. Oh man. And it's not only the porn or the masturbation, it's also you can't even be close to someone of the opposite sex, right? Like
No.
that's a big no-no. You can't go out without a chaperone. And
Yeah,
I,
exactly.
and that's really harsh because you you never feel like what it's like to like hold someone, or like you have to be dating officially to do that. And
Yes, but
it's
I don't know.
crazy.
Like, did you date like that? Because honestly, like, oh, I left, and we haven't talked about it yet. We can move into that in a bit if you want. But
Mhm.
I when I left, I was like still kind of young, and then I started dating. So I'd never actually dated a Jehovah's Witness. I did date a little bit, but I didn't actually date a Jehovah's Witness. Um, did you date a Jehovah's Witness? Did you go out with a chaperone and stuff?
Yeah, what's up? You missed out on the joys of dating a JW girl, sexually
What?
repressed JW girl. uh,
That's awesome. That
yeah,
is awesome. I never dated. I was too young, and then I was too worldly to date Joe's Witness.
yeah. Well, I did have an unofficial girlfriend, but this was during senior year, so it was very innocent. We never actually kissed. We just go out, but it was like with a bunch of people. We never had like a moment of intimacy. That's what I'm talking about. We never had a chance to be
Like,
by ourselves.
Panda. You had a friend, Panda. That's a friend,
Yeah, I
right?
know, I know. No,
You didn't kiss.
well,
You were never with each other alone. You only went out in groups. Like,
uh,
you're only allowed to have friends until you get married, and then you can have sex, and everything. But
yeah,
before that, you were only friends, though.
but the thing is that we're already like talking about marriage, and oh, we're gonna get married, and
Yes.
we're gonna go serve at Bethel or go serve with the neatest grader. This is not normal. 17-year-old kids like talking about marriage and they haven't even like kissed. It's how the religion sets you up for failure because you're just expected to grow up way too quick. And
Yeah.
damn it. And it turns out
And
like sorry, it was funny because this girl, well, we broke up because at that time I was a full believer and I wanted to go to Bethel, and she wanted to study in college. I know, right? What a sinner. She wanted to,
what a B word. What the hell?
yeah,
Oh my
she wanted
God.
to
Drop
become
her dead.
a physician assistant or something. And I was like, hell no.
Wow.
I want to serve Jehovah full time. So I cut it off with that girl. Uh,
Good on
I,
you.
I, yeah,
Jehovah
I
will
know.
bless you for that.
Yeah. Well, turns out that I think she's still in the religion actually, and I left. I became an apostate. So how funny how things worked out.
That is true, because weirdly enough, when I was like worldly but still like indoctrinated, like I didn't go out with anybody, with women, even though like there were like a couple of like sisters that I may have been able to date, but I was like, no, I'm too worldly, right? But I'm pretty sure they're still in the religion, and I'm here apostatizing. So also, who knows, maybe they're watching, because this is the very first time that I posted on my personal Instagram that people can follow me. Like, I've listed it on YouTube like forever, right? But
Mhm.
for the very first time I posted on a personal Instagram that I was doing this. I had never posted any kind of apostate
Oh wow.
content to my channel. I mean, to my Instagram account or Facebook, like nothing, right? And this is the very first time. So who knows? Maybe some of those, will be watching and will wake up. I don't know.
Hopefully, yeah. Damn. So
Maybe they're gonna hit me
what?
up and they're like, "We already woke up, you idiot."
I know. Yeah. Damn. So yeah. I remember you mentioned in your waking up story. And guys, I will leave a link to Caleb's channel down below. Please go subscribe to him. He has some great videos. Um,
Thank you.
and you said that the first time you held a woman was like when you were 23, right? That was the first time
Yes.
you actually felt another human body that
Yes.
wasn't hitting you
And
with a
that
belt.
was exactly that was actually why I stopped going to the meetings. Because uh what happened was that I was already like in Guadalajara. I was like an exemplary Jehovah's Witness and all of that stuff, but I had to like go out to the to Juarez, just like meet a cousin, right? And when I met this cousin, I kind of like started like seeing his. They weren't exes, all right? They weren't exes. They kind of like dated for like a couple of times, and then it cooled off. And then like
Mhm.
she liked me, and I'm like, what? You like me? That's my fetish. When women like me, I'm very much into that. So I we there was like this one time where we were in the same house, because we were just like the three of us, my cousin sleeping like we were in bunk beds, right? And we were just chatting like that time. It was just very late. So this girl and I just fell asleep in the same bed, and we obviously, like, nothing happened. My shoes were on, nothing happened, right? But I woke up, like, I just remember, like, I don't remember falling asleep. I just remember waking up, and I was like, I was holding her, and
Mhm.
I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Are you what? Because I was 23, and I had never held a woman. And then, like, she kind of like opened her eyes. We had only slept for like a couple of hours, all right? We slept for like at 3 a.m., and that was like at 6 a.m., right? So she kind of like woke up a little bit, and she opened her eyes, and then I kissed her. And that was my first kiss. I was 23. And it was, I mean, it was amazing. I was like, oh my God, this is finally happening. Because since I was a kid, since I was a child, I had wanted to kiss a woman. Like, just not even like to have sex with a woman, just to kiss a woman. I just wanted to know what that felt like.
Yeah.
I really wanted to know. So yeah, it was till I was 23. So when I got into that relationship, it was obviously like a woman, and I stopped going to the meetings in Juarez. And then when I came back, I kind of confessed to the elders, but the elders were like a different like body of elders. The relationship ended. Obviously, we're not together anymore. And the new elder just kind of just wanted to know what sin I had done. But I hadn't had sex with her or anything. Like, I hadn't even like touched her boob or anything, right? Which, big L. I know I could have.
Yeah, come
Unfortunately, like,
on, man.
it was the worst, man. Like, I could have touched the boob and not even like get this fellowship. Like, I should have touched at least that boob. Like, it's what I'm saying, right? But the dude, like, I hadn't done anything. I was just, I just made out with this girl a few times and just fell asleep with her a couple of times in the same bed. That's it. That was the only thing
That's
that we,
it.
we had done, right? But so the guy like was like, well, I mean, if you're not willing to like confess, then that's it. We can't do anything for you. Like, get the hell out. And I was like, I feel terrible. What? What? This hasn't helped me at all. So that's why I stopped going to the meetings, because I couldn't. It was it was a big like heartbreak, because she was my first girlfriend as well at 23. And it was just too painful to go back to the meetings for a while. And
Mhm.
then I got actually marked in the congregation, because I had brought like my girlfriend to the meeting one time. So I
Oh
got marked in
wow.
the congregation, and so I stopped going to the meetings, and people didn't even like care that I had stopped going to the meetings. And that's how I faded, while still believing in the religion. That I was 23, and I ended up still believing in the religion while not going to the meetings until I was 30. So it was a huge process. It was the worst.
Damn. Yeah. Well, like Apostle Ministry School says, you didn't have porneia, so I guess
It's
you
the
could go
worst. Like,
free
I could have had a little bit of pornea, just a
just a
little
little
bit,
bit.
just a little
Yeah.
bit. I didn't even see a boob. Like, it's just like, come on. It's like,
Oh
I could have at
man.
least seen something, like, it's just, that's not pornea. Apparently, like, I hadn't seen the Gary Bro like pillow videos, but I should have just, if I had, I would have been like, listen, we can masturbate in front of each other, and I've learned that's okay. That's
Yeah, as
okay.
long as you
I
don't
won't
touch
get
each
this
other.
fellowship. You just don't touch me. We're gonna masturbate in front of each other. That's fine.
Yeah,
And maybe she would have been into it. I don't know.
maybe. So I guess I had a similar experience where The first time I made it out
Who
with a
did you
girl
masturbate in
was,
front
no, I didn't, sadly, but
of?
my first kiss was at 22 as well. Oh, I guess,
Oh my
but
god,
that
you
was,
beated me to it.
I
That's
know,
amazing.
right?
So
And
young, 22.
way too young, and then but I was already out by that time. I was already mentally out. Um,
Really?
so yeah,
So
and
you were
it
just looking
was
for somebody, right?
I know, yeah, it just kind of happened. Like, it was very spontaneous, but that was the first time I ever made out with someone, and it was this girl. She had this a piercing in her tongue, so I have
Look at you.
zero experience
And piercing
kissing.
in the tongue is like advanced, I feel like
Yeah.
semi-advanced making out, you know?
So suffice to say, I was in a new realm of experience in that time, but nothing major happened. But yeah, it's just, I guess it's, I don't know how common it is to just grow up in this religion, and that's the first experience you get, like, very very late in life.
It's the worst. It's really the worst because I mean, so many experiences that you're supposed to have as humans, you just this cult just robs you of them. You like I could have had a kiss when I was like 15. Like I wasn't that ugly. Like, I was obviously like very awkward. But if I hadn't been in the cult, I wouldn't have been that awkward either. Like I feel like it's maybe I wouldn't have had a kiss, right? Maybe I was like horrible, but it would have been nice to at least have the option, to at
True.
least think that I'm allowed to, and not just be like, oh no, are you liking me? Because I have to leave now. I have to be like, who was it? Who was it, like Jacob, or who was the one who left?
Who left?
Yeah, who left, and because the his boss's wife wanted to have
Joseph.
sex with him. There you go. Yeah, I'm like, I need to be like Joseph. Like I need to leave half naked because if you're into me.
Yeah. Oh, damn. We wouldn't want to upset the sovereign of the universe by
Of
holding a
course.
girl's hand before being ready to get married. Oh boy.
Premarital holding hands,
No.
that is a sin.
Yeah, holding hands outside of courtship. No, no. It's a big sin. Damn.
And
Yeah.
it's bad because I mean you can't even flirt with people, which is, I don't know, like
No.
I'm kind of like a flirty person. I've always been like a bit of a flirty person because I don't know, like I like when people flirt with me, and I like to lift people up, and I feel flirting is nice, right? But you can't do it. Like it's outright prohibited in the Jehovah's Witness religion. You study articles on that, on why you are not allowed to do it. So you can't even approach that. You can only have this platonic friendship with a woman when there's other people around, and that is it. So you don't even know how to talk to a woman when you leave because you haven't done that yet. Because I mean, if the only environment that you talk to a woman is in a misogynist cult, you don't know how to talk to a woman. So yeah, it's
No.
it's really bad. So the fact that you just left, like you were mentally out, and then you just found somebody to make out. Respect, man, respect.
Yeah, the universe aligned. It was quite a lovely timing. I didn't have to wait too long, but uh, yeah, it does. This cult does. It just does mess you up, and once you leave,
It
you have
really does.
to you have to explore your own. You have to rebuild your morality. So it's like you have
Yeah,
to be like, yeah, am I gonna date? Am I, because it's not like everyone that leaves is just gonna go into like one night stands all the time, and that's not how the world
yeah,
works.
of course.
It's quite a daunting environment to be released into once you leave. It's quite a lot of work,
Yeah,
but
but at least you
here we
have the
are.
option to do whatever you want.
Yeah,
Like at least
yeah,
maybe you don't know how to do it, but it's easier to learn how to do it when you're allowed to do it. Like you can just
yeah.
learn how to talk to people, and then just learn how to make connections afterwards. And you don't have to abide by this ridiculous like morality of the cult. Like even if you're married, especially like if you're married to like a Jehovah's Witness, like you were, right? If you were both Jehovah's Witnesses and you got married, then the other person's also probably sexually frustrated. So you can find creative workarounds. Like this doesn't this is not for us, right? But I do have friends, like I have a few friends who have woken up and who were in the Jehovah's Witnesses, and a couple of them are just got into swinging, and I'm like, I mean, that's freaking awesome, right? Like they're super into it. They're into, you know, all of that work. Like they've invited us, and we're like, I don't know, no.
No
You know, it's
thanks.
just, I don't know, no, that's too intimidating. That's a lot of people. But yeah, like some people get into that, or some people like some people get into like orgies or shit like that. Like, you don't need to, like, nothing is prohibited anymore. The only thing that's prohibited is doing anything with somebody who doesn't want to or can't, you know, consent. As long as everybody involved is consenting adults, and you can do whatever the fuck you want, it's fine. So, you know, that's, I feel that's the way to deal with the sexual repression, to just be like, you know what? Yeah, I'm not gonna follow this cult's rules anymore. I'm just gonna find something that actually works, and you know, that works for everybody. Don't do it like some ex-Jehovah's Witnesses who have just like gone to Thailand to like cheat on their wives, right? Like don't do that. Don't like
Yeah.
include your wife in the plan on how to, you know, how to do it, like both of them, right? But you know, there's ways to work around, fortunately, around the sexual repression.
Yeah, for sure. And it's something you just gotta learn. And if you do go to Thailand, be careful of the lady boys for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I would only make friends in Thailand, obviously.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So you stopped going to the meetings, and but you were still mentally in for some time, right? You were a
Yes,
POMI.
yes, it was
Damn, how
horrible.
was that? Because I never went through a POMI experience, because the moment I stopped believing and I woke up, that was the moment I stopped going to the meetings. So how was life while you were a POMI?
It was really bad because, I mean, you're outside of what you think is good, so you're always, at least I was always stressed about it, you know, like there's always a part of you that is like, hey, you know, like if Armageddon came, you're gonna die, like you are going to die, you're doing things wrong, Armageddon's about to come, and you are going to die. So it was extreme. Like I try to like block it, and I try to like put it away for a long time. I mean, I met my current partner. We got married. I was still a homie. Like she knew that I was a believing Jehovah's Witness. And again, she's just, look, she's really bad at picking up like red flags. All right, like she's just really bad at it. Thankfully, like thankfully, it worked out for me. But I was like, throughout all of that time, even all the way like into COVID, I was a believing Jehovah's Witness who didn't really go to the meetings, right? Maybe I went to the meetings like a couple of times a year because like somebody invited me or whatever. And I didn't go to the meeting. And look, here's the part that I haven't even talked about in the channel. There was this time that I actually started to go to the meetings after I got married, right? And I used to like dress up, get my briefcase, and then I would just go to the meeting. Like, well, I would get into the car, right? But then I would like think of going to the meeting, and just the thought of being there for all that time was just so like overwhelming, and it just filled me with so much dread and boredom that half of the times, like at least, I ended up just going to Starbucks for like a couple of hours, and then I would go back and I would lie to my wife and tell her that I had gone to the meetings. That's what happened. I can't even explain. Like I couldn't even be honest to my wife. Like, hey, you know why I couldn't go to the meetings? Because then she would have asked why. And then what was I gonna say? That the meetings were bad? Like that's a me problem, right? Like when you're a Jehovah's Witness, you know, that's what you think. So yeah, it was horrible. Like I had to lie to a lot of people all of the time, in very tiny ways like that. You know, because it, you live in like denial. Like it's almost worse than being a believing, like an active Jehovah's Witness, because at least when you're an active Jehovah's Witness, you feel like you're doing things right. And I thought that I was doing things wrong for like, I don't know, like 8 years, until I was like in my 30s. So yeah, it was. I don't see that talked a lot on YouTube, but that is the experience of being a pomie and being indoctrinated is pretty much like being jailed in your own mind. You go outside and you go anywhere, but you aren't free. You're a prisoner still, and that's definitely how I felt.
Yeah, it sounds like a different type of hell altogether. That
Yes,
it's
it really is.
just sounds horrific because you're like not, you know, that you're not doing enough for the
Yeah,
religion,
the
and
right
you
thing.
the right thing, and you're constantly watching over your shoulder to see that if Armageddon is arriving soon. Damn, I can't even imagine. How
Yeah,
long were you a pomie for?
I was like from the time that I was 23 ish till the time that I was 30. So like 7 years.
Damn.
It Yeah, it was a long time. It was a very long time, and it only ended because throughout like those 7 years, I prayed to Jehovah almost every night. And I prayed to Jehovah for one thing. Well, I prayed to for me to be okay and for my wife to be okay and for my dog to be okay and all of that shit, right? But above all of that, I prayed for one thing. That there was this one point that I wanted to know. I told Jehovah, please let me know how to serve you. I just There's something about Jehovah's Witnesses. I'm not comfortable. Like, can't I? Is this the only way? Do I have to go to every single meeting and go to the to preach and go to all of that stuff? Like, can you just give me a sign that if that's what I need to do, then that's fine. But just at least give me a sign. Like, at least just give me a sign that this is what I need to do. So at least, like, now I know. At least I know. At least I haven't. I'm not just doing it just because. That's what I used to pray to Jehovah almost every night for pretty much 7 years. And finally, I got an answer to my prayers because a friend of mine, Jeff, he called me one day just out of the blue, and he knew that I hadn't been going to the meetings and all that stuff. And he called me. He was an elder now, and he called me basically to like rope me back in to go back into the meetings. And we ended up talking for like 3 hours. And I was like, yeah, I know I need to go back, and I know that I need to go back, blah blah blah. I was fully indoctrinated still, right? But then I realized, hey, if I'm gonna, like, after I was done with that conversation, I was like, this is the answer, right? Like, Jehovah's telling me through Jeff that I need to go back. Like, that's why Jeff called me after 7 years. That's how Jehovah works, right? So I thought, there you go. Like, I need to go back. Like, I don't have any other excuses. I have to go back. But I need to make sure of everything now, right? Because I've been out for a while. I need to make sure of everything. So I started studying, and I went to like the JW like FAQ website, and I was like, wait a second, this is all wrong. Like, this is what? Why are they saying that there's no shunning? And like, why are they lying in here? Like, I don't really understand, right? And then I started like properly like reading the Bible, and then the Bible surprisingly didn't really mention apostates. Like, I thought that the Bible mentioned apostates all of the time, right? And then I kept going page by page, and there's no mention of apostates. And I was extremely confused. I was like, I don't understand. Like, Jehovah's Witnesses are the ones that studied the Bible the most. How come nothing in the Bible, like, it's resounding to me? I didn't study with my own like Spanish Bible that I had grew up in. I wanted to have a degree of separation, right? Because if I studied with the Spanish Bible that I had studied, then my brain would immediately go to like the Jehovah's Witness explanation for any Bible verse, right? So I wouldn't be able to read the Bible for what it is. So I started reading the Bible in English, and I realized that the there wasn't anything, there were so many things that were wrong, and especially shunning. Shunning was wrong. The way that Jehovah's Witnesses shun is completely anti-biblical. Like, sure, Paul told them like to shun, like, to kick the person out of themselves, but then immediately like he wrote a letter, and he's like, actually no, like, to just get him back, please. Just please get him back. He's gonna get way too sad. Stop it. I kind of fucked up. So I was like, what the hell is going on? And then, shaking, I Googled it. And then that's when I found, once I was like reading the Bible, and once I was like, this does not make sense. I don't get it, right? Like, I was just so confused. That's when I found JW Facts. And then suddenly, article after article, everything made sense. It was like somebody was opening my eyes for the very first time. And I was like, what? And the amazing part about JW Facts is that it uses Jehovah's Witness theology to debunk it. It doesn't tell you anything about the guy or the writer or like his thoughts. No. It's just like, hey, this is what they said in next year. This is what they said in this other year. Let's compare these two. And what did these say? Like, it's very logical. So that's kind of like when I started like debunking my beliefs. And I remember it just became like my obsession. Like I just did that, like, from the moment that I woke up until like deep into the night. And I started studying the Bible, like my Bible. And because I knew my plan was, okay, Jeff is obviously gonna call me back, right? Because like he's inviting me back into the meetings. Obviously, he has to like do a follow-up. So he's gonna call me back. And he even said that he was gonna call me back. So when he calls me back, I need to have like a list of like my issues, right? So he can explain them to me. Because I don't want to have like I as a Jehovah's Witness, I always had issues, and I want to have those issues anymore. I want to have the explanations. But then the Bible that I was studying just kept filling up with issues. And I remember just one night, it was like 4 a.m, and I was adding like another post-it for another issue that I was going to ask Jeff about. And then I looked at my Bible and I started crying, because I was like, how many post-its does this Bible need to have until I realized that everything that I believed in was wrong? And that was the moment when I feel like I stopped being a Jehovah's Witness, because I was like, no, these aren't issues. These aren't things that I don't understand. This proves that they are wrong. And when I felt that, it was just like, I don't know, I felt like a lightning had hit me. Like it was just like it had hit me like a ton of bricks. Like I was like, oh my fucking Christ, everything that I believed in was wrong. And it just went, after that, I just went into like rage and depression. It was very complicated. But yeah, it was very like complicated and long. And unfortunately, Jeff never called me back, right? I still have like all of my list of things that I want to ask him. But he never called me back, so I never asked him. So that's why I'm not a Jehovah's Witness. Jeff didn't call me back to explain me the things that I had an issue with.
Yeah, Jeff, you're gonna have to answer to Big J in
I know,
paradise,
Jeff. I was
in the
waiting for your
judgment
call, man.
seat.
I was waiting for your call. You could have avoided like an apostate releasing videos to his tiny audience. It is on you.
Yeah. No, wow. So that was the moment you were done. Yeah,
Yeah,
you no longer believed.
yeah. After that, I was like, I can't. Like I ran out of reasons to explain away my beliefs. There was a point to there were so many things that I had to explain away that I just had to realize that I was wrong, and I had to change my mind. And it was hard because I was extremely homophobic. Even though like I don't know. I think because I'm straight, like I never fully understood how somebody could be homosexual, and the Jehovah's Witnesses were like, you don't have to understand it because that's wrong, actually. So I was like, oh yeah, no, that is actually disgusting. That I don't like that, like, whatsoever. So I was like very like deeply homophobic and obviously like transphobic, and I was not a good person. But you don't really realize how much of a bad person you are when you're a Jehovah's Witness, because when you're a Jehovah's Witness, I don't know, did you feel you were like the best person when you were a Jehovah's Witness? And do you feel like you're a better person now?
Well, looking back, I definitely feel I was very self-righteous. I
Yes,
was,
yeah, that's a big
looking at other people, especially with gay people, and just very judgmental. like just looking for the worst in people, yeah, both in witnesses and like worldly people. So yeah, I mean, I was a nice person. I was never like hostile towards anyone, but like inside I was like filled up with hate. I think
Yeah,
with
you
hate
judge him.
for, yeah, with judgment. Which, damn, I guess that's the thing Christians are not supposed to do, but JWs are experts at judging.
Yeah, and honestly, like that kind of like consumes you inside. Like I remember
Yeah.
the very first time that like I saw a homosexual couple and they didn't disgust me, and I was like, oh wow, like this feels nice. I This didn't ruin my day. This is there's just two people loving each other, and that's everything. That's all I see now, and I'm happier. Like I didn't even realize that how damaging it was. Like if anybody had asked me before, I would have been like, no, I mean, I'm a homophobic. Like I mean, it doesn't damage me. But no, like it does damage you. Like it ages you. It's not a good way of living. It's really bad. It's really bad for your health. It's really bad for your day, for your mental health. It's just the worst. It's really bad being a Jehovah's Witness. I feel like that's my thesis. Jehovah's Witness bad, I think.
Yes, not good for your mental health for sure.
Yeah, probably not. No bueno.
No bueno. So do you still talk to your parents?
No, well, sort of. My father, I don't know. I don't know where he is. I don't talk to him. I don't think he knows. I don't even know if he's a POMI, or I know that he got this fellowship, but I don't know like what he believes in, where he lives. A part of me like kind of wishes like he doesn't even exist anymore. Like I don't know. I feel like if he was dead, like somebody would have called me. I hope,
Yeah.
but that's all I know. My mom, yeah, I managed to like wake her up. So yeah, that that fortunately that wasn't like something that I had to like say goodbye to. Like I feel like honestly, waking up people, especially nowadays with all of these changes, it's it's not easy. It's not easy, and you can't just wake somebody up, right?
Mhm.
But it has never been less hard, I think, than it is right now. I don't know. What do you think? Because I wanted to, like, I know like this is an interview about me and whatever, but I want to know like your takes, like, because I've been thinking about this for a while, and I want to know, do you think that with all of these changes and all of this that's happening in the new in the new religion, the new version of the religion, do you think it's
Yeah.
becoming like a little bit less hard to wake people up and be like, hey, this isn't right?
Mm, well, I'm not sure if to wake them up per se, but it's definitely easier to have like meaningful conversations now, I think, because especially with young people, because they're like they're more willing to talk, and like adults will usually shut you down. But I have had several meaningful conversations like with my brother and with another friend that recently reached out to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that can wake them up for sure. I don't know if I have waked up. I don't think I've waked up anybody like close to me. Hopefully, I've woken up a lot of people that have watched the channel. But not directly. It's kind of hard. You have to be ready for it, to wake up. It's you can plant some
Yeah.
you can plant some seeds like
Yeah,
JW
I like
say.
Jehovah's Witness. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
an
I don't know.
anti JW.
It's just I don't know. I feel like if you say plant a few seeds now, they're gonna sprout soon because there's gonna be like if you
Yeah.
plant a few seeds, I feel like when you plant a few seeds, that's when there's a little something. Like you just you wake up a little something in that Jehovah's Witness that is like, you know what? I'm just gonna be in the lookout. Like I'm not gonna believe anything, but I'm just gonna actually pay a little bit of attention. And I feel like with all of the changes and everything that is going on, I feel like that like there's so many things that it can alert that little like a part of yourself that if you manage it to like get it to be alert a little bit. I feel like it doesn't have to be as hard because there's gonna be something like some change or something now. Like I don't know, like the latest thing that I've seen is like how the in the latest governing body update, Mark Sanderson was like, the governing body has decided. And I'm like,
Yeah.
how many Jehovah's Witnesses are gonna wake up because they're doing the thing? They're like, Jehovah, who cares about Jehovah? The governing body, we decided that this is. I feel like they're waking up a lot of people, and that's why, our channels are growing pretty much the same rate, with with
Yeah.
same amount of subscribers and all that stuff, because of that. Yeah.
There, yeah. Guys, go subscribe to Caleb's channel now, please. Let's
I'm gonna
send him
keep
a
teasing you. I'm gonna keep teasing you
1,000.
because you're like way more successful than me. And you
Nah, it's
started
just like,
afterwards as well. You started afterwards. Like I started, I was like the first cartoon, and then you just came in and you were like, screw that. Is a grown-up Caleb a good idea? Who cares? I'm gonna be a red panda and I'm just gonna take over the ex Jehovah's Witness sphere.
yeah, I know, man. Oh,
That's awesome.
I,
Congrats.
I,
Like seriously,
yeah,
that
thank
that
you,
that
man.
that's awesome. That's really awesome. I'm so happy that we have like people like you that have like big platforms and that are actually like using it to raise awareness about all of this stuff in an entertaining way, a far more entertaining way that I can do, apparently.
Nah, it's just the algorithm gods have blessed me for
Yeah,
some
yeah,
reason,
yeah.
but
That's
it's
what
just a matter of
entertaining
time.
people say.
It's a matter of time. So, what got you into making videos for YouTube? What was your inspiration?
I wanted to just make like a few videos because I felt like there were a few things that I had studied and I had found out in my research while I was waking up that nobody had touched on. For instance, I feel like, or at least when I made the video, and I think I still feel like that I found like the only hole in the Jehovah's Witness theology that allows Jehovah's Witnesses to give themselves permission to actually research their religion and to actually, like break the religion, because right now the religion is based around your blind obedience to the governing body. However, the governing body has their power because of the faithful and discreet slave parable, right? And most Jehovah's Witnesses do not know that in the faithful and discreet slave parable, it warns about the faithful and discreet slave maybe turning evil, and it says that that can happen, right? So you can if you show that to a Jehovah's Witness, you can ask them, okay, how would you know if this happened, if this in the Bible, that says right here in the Bible, evil slave, how would you know if today evil slave today, how? You just ask that question, and the answer would be extremely telling, because the answer would, for them to answer that question, they would have to give themselves the license to imagine a world where the governing body is not right, where they actually leave the religion because they disagree with the governing body, and you're asking them what would that take. So that answer, they're going to give you different answers, but that answer is basically the reason why they're in the religion. And if you can just work with that answer and figure out like a way to be like, okay, you're in the religion because of, I don't know, you think it's very safe, you know what to show them, to be like, well, what if this other thing, right? So
Mhm.
that idea of having this way to ask that question based on the Bible, to for them, to force them to question their own beliefs, was something that I hadn't seen on YouTube, and that I wanted to like put out there, because I thought, maybe this helps people, right? And since then, I feel like I make videos because the videos that I make, at least the vast majority of them, they don't exist on YouTube. So
Mhm.
it's just like a thing that I found, or like a way to explain something, or I don't know, like a new insight that I found that I feel is new, because this cult is not studied, right? You don't need to be smart or anything to find new insights about this cult, because nobody has studied it, right? And I feel like that's why I've been producing videos. Like I've made like over 100 videos by now, and most of them are kind of like on that. Like I try to find a new way of saying something, because I feel like maybe if it resonates with me, maybe it resonates with somebody else, or maybe somebody remembers it and just repeats it to somebody else who's a believer and who also that would also resonate, or maybe it will help them in their waking up process. I feel like it's very easy to it's very easy to wake up and figure out that your religion is wrong when you leave the Jehovah's Witnesses. But what is hard is to fully deconstruct everything that the cult made around you, because the cult controlled everything around you, right? And I've had a hard time like deconstructing all of that. But when I found a new thing that I have to deconstruct, and then I found a new way to deconstruct it, I feel like I have to put it out in a video, because I feel like I cannot be the only person dealing with this. And if I find like one answer that helped me, maybe it's gonna help somebody else. You know, that's basically why I make videos, because it just, I don't know, like I feel like we can be almost like scientists, you know, in this cult. There's so many things that this cult does that we haven't fully studied and figure out how that works, and figure out how to debunk it and how to destroy it. And we can be part of this new generation of people who are doing that for future Jehovah's Witnesses. Jehovah's Witnesses will never meet, and maybe some of them will find that interesting, or maybe a psychiatrist will find that interesting and will take cult indoctrination seriously as the actual abuse that it should be, and not as, you know, the religious right that people get. You know, like I feel like I need to do something. The cult screwed me up so much, and not just me. It screwed up people around me. Originally, I also started the channel because there was like this other guy that was groomed, that was like kind of like my friend. We were friendly, right? He was groomed when he was 16, and it was just really really bad, right? And you know, like I almost like participated a bit in his shunning afterwards when that, you know, happened, like that the elders knew, and then he got disfellowshipped for his own abuse. And before I started the channel, I reached out to him, because I just wanted to, I don't know, I didn't really shun him, you know, because we weren't really friends, but we talked and then we stopped talking. And you know, I tried to reach out, and we kind of talked, but I felt like, you know, he didn't want to talk with me anymore. And I even told him, like, I was just like starting to like smoke weed. I'm like, dude, we can smoke some joints, like just to like be like, I'm not a witness anymore, you know, just don't call it. And his friend, he had a very close friend who did shun him, right? And who I reconnected with. And we both think, but because he also has tried to like reach him, and he's just not accessible. And we both hope that he's just trying to like leave and just forget about us, and just forget about all of the abuse, and just live a new life. But I don't know that, you know. And I feel like there's so many people like that, and I need to do something, you know. I need to, this is happening in the religion, like this is just shit that I know. So what am I gonna do? Just not make, like, I feel like, I don't know, like YouTube videos are just stupid YouTube videos. I'm not gonna make a difference, right? But it's something. It's the most I can do. Like, I'm an idiot. I can't become like a full activist and like destroy the religion. I can just make YouTube videos, but I need to do something, because I don't know, like this religion is horrible. I don't know. Is that a good answer? I haven't thought of. That's the first time that anybody has asked. Why do you make videos?
Yeah, because I enjoy it basically, but
there you go. That's my answer. I delete that my answer. I make videos because I enjoy it. That's it.
yeah, and it is a big satisfaction to know that the videos have helped out a lot of people, because people always comment or they email me, but they're like, hey, you know, you helped me in my waking up process, or
That's really cool as well.
you it really helps you, because you're barely leaving, and you have to, you have to like make sure you're not going crazy. So I think YouTube helps out a lot to get your thoughts together, so you don't go crazy, because your whole worldview just collapsed, right?
Yeah.
Your whole, sometimes your entire faith in God collapses, and you need a little escape from that, and to make sure that your experience is shared and it's not on your own, you know. I think it's
Yeah,
very
like a little
valuable.
reassurance that you're not going crazy. Like there's people like us that have gotten to the same conclusion, and this is what has helped us actually. Yeah, that's you're way better at explaining things than me. I see why you have more subscribers now. I get it.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll start letting so the viewers ask some questions, guys. So if you have questions
Sure,
for Caleb, please put them down below. Let's see. Let me write it down. So any
sure.
questions?
Let me fire one up as well.
Yeah. So after leaving the religion, what is your view on God and the Bible now that you're out?
I first had to when my waking up process. I first went through the religion, and I had to figure out whether the religion was true. I ended up concluding that it wasn't. Then I went through the Bible to figure out if the Bible was true. And I realized that it couldn't be. And then I went through the whole concept of God itself, and I wondered, okay, is a God possible? And I just cannot. I am yet to hear a good argument for the existence of a God. Not any God, just a God that interacts or that may interact with us, or that interacting with have any point whatsoever. I may believe in a God that created everything. Like we may live in a simulation, right? And if we live in a simulation, then the guy who coded everything, then that will be our God, right? But not in a God that answers prayers or stuff like that. If there's a God, it's just like sort of a creator that just built all of this, and like it's just playing it out. But I don't think that there is a God that actually exists and that cares about us. And if it exists, I really don't think it's the Abrahamic God. That God does not care about anybody.
So you're telling me that the God of the universe, if there is one, did not have a grudge against like penis foreskin and against mixed fabrics. Are you
I don't
telling me
know. I
that's
mean,
not the God?
I don't know. It does sound very, very godlike to be like, your peepees cannot touch. Like that sounds like something that a god would say. So I don't know, but I think not.
Yeah, that's true. All right. What do you think? Do you think Jesus was a historical person? What are your views on that?
Ooh, that's a very good question. I want to know. I want to know your thoughts on this after I'm done with this question, because
Deal.
I want to know what you think. But
Deal.
look, I think well, I don't think that. I know that there is no evidence for Jesus. We don't have any historical evidence for Jesus. That doesn't exist, right? However, Jesus is likely to have existed at some point in some form. And I think he's likely to have existed because, I mean, they were Christians, so obviously, like, who were they following? And because the Christians got into a lot of trouble and whatever with in a lot of like theological like discussions and whatever. And the earlier theological discussions, like, I don't know how to just pretend I said the right thing. They never said, hey, like, Christians are based on a guy that doesn't even exist, right? And if he didn't exist, like they'll probably know, like, that happened when he would have died, and like a few years, even centuries afterwards. And nobody said that. Like the idea that Jesus did not exist is a relatively new idea. So I think it wouldn't have been if Jesus actually hadn't existed. I think that somebody would have said that before. That being said, that is the most amount of beliefs that I can conjure for Jesus is that he was probably a dude that existed. He didn't do anything that the gospel said, because the gospels are just legends that were put together decades and decades and decades after the fact. After it was like orally shared, and the gospels like contradict each other and all of that stuff, right? So I don't believe that in a Jesus that actually miracled or whatever. But was there a guy in Palestine that raised the movement and then died, and then the guys who left, like, created the myth that the guy that he had actually come back to life. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think that could have happened. I think that's the most reasonable explanation. That's it. What do you think, man?
Yeah.
It's your turn.
Damn. Well, I mean, I guess I'm somewhere in the same line. I think the question if there was an actual historical Jesus is kind of irrelevant in a way, because even if there was,
I
we
mean,
have
you
no
asked it. What
way.
the hell?
Oh no, yeah. I mean, what I mean is that
Just
that
teasing you.
we have no way to know what the historical Jesus was like by reading the Gospels. So because it's
Yeah.
they're so full of myths and clearly like parables, and you can read the Gospels and you see that the authors make up stories to prove
Yes.
points.
And
uh,
Jesus is very different in the different gospels. Like, sometimes he's like
yeah,
super nice and charming. Sometimes he's like angry all the time. And he's very different in the gospels too. So yeah, we can't get to know them.
yeah, and the Gospels are a very late source after 70, at least 70
Yeah.
CE. And the thing is that Paul, which is our earliest source, never really speaks. He never gives details about Jesus' life. He never talks about his parables or
No.
his miracles. Never. You don't see anything of that in Paul's letters. So we just have no way to know who this Jesus
Yeah.
was. So then it doesn't matter if he existed because we have no way of actually knowing what he was like. That's
I
my
mean,
take.
the matter of who he was, and what matters the most when you're worshiping Jesus, whether if it's knowledge, or like faith in Jesus, or like eating the Eucharisty, or whatever the fuck, like that is still studied till today. Like, we don't know what was more important in the first century. That there's still like people, like very smart people, like scholars studying like what kind, like how was the first century Christian congregation, like, you know what did they believe, and how, where were the lines, and what Jesus did they believe, and which gospels did they believe. There's gospels that we don't even have anymore, and that are even mentioned, some of them are even mentioned in the Bible, and we have like some fragments of them. It's very, I don't know, that's kind of why I can't be a Christian, because I'm like, man, if this is what God did just to make his own religion, he really screwed up. Like, this is very messy.
Yeah, you would think that he would leave some hard archaeological evidence for the existence of Jesus,
Right.
and like make sure people document his sayings. But no,
You
we
would
just
think that he would make the fact that he exists as evident as the sun,
yep,
and that way
right,
we never have to wonder. We never have to wonder if the sun exists. So, why do we have to
exactly.
wonder if God exists? Why didn't he make himself like an omnipresent part of us? If it's, I don't know. I mean, this is the atheist in me talking. Like, I don't want to anger your audience. I don't know how believers your audience are.
Oh, and I got a lot of believers in the audience, which I love you guys. Thank you for watching the channel.
It's just the issues that I have with your religion. However, if you explain them to me and you convince me, I will convert to your religion. So there you go.
Perfect. There you go,
You can
guys.
do that.
Try converting XJW Caleb.
Yes. You explain it to me in a way that makes sense, I'll convert to your religion. So there you go.
Yeah. So, but how do you know that God hasn't revealed himself in Stephen Lett? I mean, that is clearly a divine being in front of us.
That, when I saw Stephen Lett, I'm like, you know what? Maybe I did a mistake. Maybe this is the right religion. Welcome to Jet. Oh my God, he's awesome. He's
He's such a
awesome. Like,
dumbass.
I put him in any video. Like, I look for any excuse to put him in the videos.
Yeah, exactly. So who's your favorite governing body member?
Oh my God, I think Stephen Lett. I actually think Stephen Lett, because I think Stephen Lett is probably the least damaging one, because nobody takes him seriously. Like, you have to suspend some disbelief, even as a Jehovah's Witness, if you want to take him seriously, right? So, like, how serious can you take Stephen Lett? So I think he's probably my favorite one. My favorite one to hate, though, is Stephen Splain. Stephen, oh my God, I hate that dude. He's just so smarmy and just condescending. Is the worst. Like, yeah. What is your favorite, though? Your favorite and favorite to hate?
Oh, well, yeah, my favorite is I guess I would actually give the same answer. It would be Stephen Led because he's just such a meme at this point.
Right?
He's like Marshall Applewood from the Heaven's Gate. So
Yes, he really
yeah,
is.
Marshall Applewhite. Yeah, thank you. Uh, and Splain is definitely a lizard.
Yes.
And
Oh, I hate that dude.
yeah, man, Mark
We will
Sanderson
not
is
see him with a
also
beard.
no, no, I don't think so. Uh, they all suck, but I think Steven
Yes.
Led has provided with me with a lot of meme material. It's just,
Yeah, but
uh,
you know what? I feel Jeffrey Jackson probably gives good hugs. Just the
oh,
thing that
okay.
that I feel, and he's probably funny as well. Like I feel Jeffrey Jackson, you can have a beer with. You can if he's in a bar and like you sit down next to him, you can have a beer with him and like a conversation with him, and he'll be normal. You can do that with Splain. Like Splain wouldn't even have a beer with you. Like you wouldn't even
No.
go down to that level.
Yeah, no, I see that. So I mean, they're all a bunch of clowns, but
That being
yeah.
said,
Uh,
Ralph Walsh, he's like a big black dude. He's
yeah.
also like in the not in the governing body. I think he's a helper of the governing body.
One of the
He
token
looks like
black
he gives
dudes.
the best hugs. Yes, one of the token black guys. He looks like he gives the best hugs. If I could have a hug from anybody from the Jehovah's Witness, it would be for him. Like I just want him to give me a hug. He looks
Yeah.
so nice.
Yeah, I forgot Tony
Ah,
Morris.
yeah, Tony
That has
Morris.
that he's up there with Stephen Led. Oh my god,
Rest
he's
in
just
peace,
so.
Tony Morris.
I know the things I would do to have an interview with that man. Maybe one day
Oh
we'll have
my
him on the
god,
channel.
yeah.
If he
Yes.
shows up, if
Yes.
Tony Morris shows up on the channel, I'll show my face. No questions asked. How could I not? I'm with the good old Uncle Tony.
I'd love to like imagine he'd probably be like, like he could show up in the channel to be like, hey, you know what? Jehovah's Witnesses are wrong. Me and Rolf Ferrulli, we're making the new Jehovah's Witnesses, actually. We're gonna make it the new ones, the good ones. No beards, no women's pants, no tight pants with men. Like just that same Jehovah's Witness theology, but just those three things are not to be changed.
Yeah, well, good thing we have all of Anthony Morris ramblings immortalized in the internet for people to see.
Yes.
All right. Let me know if you guys have any more questions for or Caleb, and let's see. So
It's a good one.
let's see. Hmm, we'll see where we're at now. Oh, and I wanted to ask you as well.
Yeah.
So once you left, we already talked about religion, so we got to talk about the other controversial thing.
Ooh.
How have your political views evolved after leaving?
See, oh my God. See, this is why people are not gonna subscribe. Like now, if I answer that question, people are not gonna subscribe. Like they're gonna be like, no, no. That's why he doesn't have a lot of subscribers. Because he's a terrorist or something. No, listen, listen. I as I lost my faith in the Jehovah's Witness religion, I also lost my faith in the capitalistic system of things. I think like for a while I was like, okay, so the issues are not caused for like because Satan. So it's just that's just the world. And now I'm like, oh no 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 no. All of the issues are caused by like one thing, but it's not Satan, it's capitalism, right? So I just became like extremely anti-capitalist. I became like extremely for social rights. I think the state is good as long as it fully represents the people. So if you want to get technical, I guess I'm like a post-Marxist Leninist, like in that area. Like I think that's the best way of doing things.
Yeah.
This can't you're canceling me on this, but yeah, I think the best way to do things is just by making sure that everybody has what they need, that everybody has housing, that everybody has food, that everybody has access to mental health, because I've been very poor as well, right? Like I know the struggles of making money. Like I know how hard it can be, and I know that it shouldn't be that hard, and it shouldn't be that um When I was working at Starbucks, I generated tens of thousands of pesos, right? And sometimes I had to pay for working because my tail had like a difference of like $20, and that was what I made for the day, right? So I had to pay because I ended up like paying because I had to go to work. Like, and not only did I not make money, but I ended up paying even though I generated tens of thousands of pesos. Right? How is that fair? Like, I don't think that's fair. So I feel like when I'm into politics, that's kind of what I'm into. I'm also very much for cannabis rights, of course. I don't consider myself an activist in the ex Jehovah's Witness sphere necessarily, because I don't know. It's just it feels icky. It feels just weird to be like, I don't know. It's just stupid videos, the ones that I make, right? Like I with other videos, like I think I see it, but my videos, I don't know, right? But I am an activist when it comes to cannabis. I have done like some stuff and some stuff that isn't even like technically fully legal, like all for
Yeah.
activism. So for legalization and all that stuff. So that I think it's very important to get involved into politics. Whatever you believe in, you should get involved in because you didn't get involved when you were a Jehovah's Witness, so you probably have a lot to do. Like you have a lot to catch up on. So yeah, that's what I'm into. But I'm very open. If people want to disagree with me, I'm very open to disagreeing because at the end of the day, like I didn't believe in this up until a few years ago, right? Like I can change to another thing. Like if you show me that another thing is the right thing to believe in, right? I'm not a Jehovah's Witness anymore.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it. I guess, we can form our own opinions now, even if they're a bit controversial, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
those are
what, what,
my controversial
yeah.
views, I think.
Oh, do you have any other controversial opinions you hold now?
Listen, I think Hassan Piker is a good Twitch streamer. So, that's pretty controversial, I think.
Yeah, that's true. Damn. Okay. So yeah, it's been a long process, but you've been becoming your own person
What
ever
about
since
you
you
though? I
left.
want to hear about your politics. Are you anti-LGBTQ rights and why? Why do you think Saudi Arabia has the best rights when it comes to women's rights, and why do you want that to be all around the world? Why? Tell me.
Because they have the blessing of Allah. That's why.
Yes.
um, yeah, I would say. Honestly, since I've left, I haven't really investigated my own personal politics too much. I do tend to lean left when it comes to social issues, but in terms of economics, I'm not sure. I really haven't studied as much as I should have. um,
Let me. I'll,
so
I'll I'll recommend you a couple of books. You'll
yeah,
you'll
for
be our
sure.
comrade in no time. Don't worry.
I will. I mean, I love learning about it, but maybe there's a maybe there's a compromise to be had in the middle. Some by looking at,
Oh,
I don't know. I think maybe the
no,
Nordic
we can just
countries.
eat the rich or use them for compost. Don't worry.
I know we
It's
have
fine.
to be only extremes. So maybe the most correct version of politics is somewhere. Um, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think at least for the United States, because this is where I live now. Um,
Yeah.
we could definitely use for free healthcare. That's a thing we have to implement.
Yeah, that's
And there's a
crazy.
lot.
That's crazy
Yeah, I
that you
think
guys don't
I
have
think
that.
that's a
That's insane.
base. That's a base minimum. We even have it in Mexico, but not in the U.S. Right? So
Yeah, that's insane. Like we have it in Mexico. It's not good, but
no,
like
but it's something.
we have it. All right. Like I've used it. My mom's used. Like everybody I know has used it at some point. So yeah, no, it's not good, but it's there. Like it's existent.
Yeah. Let's see. Go Chugaru as pro-choice or pro-life. I mean, I think that's pretty obvious.
Yeah, pro choice 1,000%. I think it shouldn't be even an issue. I think abortion is a medical thing, and it should be to the reach to medical people who if they determine that a medical procedure should be done, and that's a medical procedure that should be done. Like, why the hell is it illegal? Like it's a medical thing that doctors should always have access to. So yeah, that's my point. Like, I not only am I pro-choice, I think I'm pro-choice and pro not even having this question. Like it's like a
Yeah,
very
I
I think a
agree.
very extremist in my beliefs.
No, that's cool. I agree. We should just
Good.
let women decide what goes on with their bodies because you'll see that most of the arguments for being quote unquote pro life are based on the Bible, and they're not even good.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't, religion should be separate from the state. And all these people that go pro life, they don't give a shit about people once they're born, or about immigrants, or it's just a huge hypocrisy from their part. They just want to control women. That's what they want to do.
Exactly. And also, like, I'm not a woman and I'm not a doctor. Like,
Yeah,
if the
true.
women and the doctors think that that is the right thing to do, then I'm obviously gonna be for that because I'm neither.
That's true. We gotta let women decide. I want to
Yeah.
pull up some for all.
Yeah,
Thank
we're
you
getting some
guys for
good
the
questions, I think.
Yeah, thank you guys for the super thanks. I'm gonna put this one. Thank you for the $10. You're awesome, Pataplan. And we had from Apostate Ministry School. Thank you, Caleb. How are you doing? How are you feeling? Because he saw your video about mental health. How's your mental
Yeah,
health?
I have a video. I posted a video probably like almost a year ago about mental health, and it was very gloomy, right? I've been meaning to record an update on that because I recorded that video when I was in a very bad mental place, but I already felt like I was, already going to move on from that. So I wanted to capture everything while I was still feeling it, because I knew that I wasn't going to be there for too long, and I'm not there anymore. I think I wanted to have that because it's important. I think a lot of people are like, "Oh, just wake up and it's going to be very happy and you're not going to have any issues and whatever." But waking up can be very traumatic, and it can be daunting, and it can, I mean, realizing that everything that you believed in was wrong, realizing that you're going to die one day, that is horrifying. And nobody, even my own psychiatrist, how do you explain somebody who is in their 30s and just realize that one day he's gonna die and is terrified about that? Like, how do you explain that to someone? Like, I feel like I missed my chance for somebody to explain it to me in a way that I could internalize it and make sense. So I wanted to make a video about that, but I'm not there anymore. I feel better. However, I also feel like happiness is, even though I feel like I'm happier now. I also feel like happiness is not like the happiness that the cult sells you. So I want to make a video about the nuances of that happiness, and how you can be happy when you wake up, but it's not going to be the happiness that the cult promises you, because nothing is going to give you the happiness that the cult promises you. Not even the cult. That was all a lie. So, I guess that was the video. Like, you can just skip the video now.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you're doing much better. It's
Thank you
yeah,
though. Thank you for asking as well.
yeah. Thank you, Cam. Definitely happiness. It's not something you're gonna be feeling 24/7, and yeah, it's just you gotta take care of your mental health and do what you gotta do to feel at peace. So you're not always gonna be happy, but you can be at peace, and keep improving, because we're just a work in progress, like all of us.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. It's just, and look, like, we all going through our own journey. Like, don't. I think it's very important when even among ex Jehovah's Witnesses, like, people wake up at different points, and you may wake up in ways that other people haven't even know that they need to wake up in. So just be gentle with them as well. Like, don't call them out. Like, everybody's in their own journey, and the fact that you are further away, like, you in waking up, like, you're further in your waking up process, doesn't give you the right to, like, be mean or something, or like to demean somebody. If anything, that gives you the responsibility to help people who haven't gotten there. So yeah, I feel like I don't know, it's kind of like the vibe that I want to give in the channel, hopefully. Because I feel like it's very harmful when even though we have a lot of reasons to be upset, it's very harmful to obey by the angry apostate. You can't be angry all of the time, I feel.
No, definitely not. And I mean, just the fact that you're mentally free, it's such a it's such a good way to live. It helps you put into perspective, because even if you're having a shit day, you remember, hey, at
Yeah,
least I'm not in a doomsday cold anymore. So
exactly.
that makes things a lot better. You just have to remind yourself of that you're actually free from this
Exactly.
religion.
Now you can just pop a top of acid and just call it a weekend, and just whatever.
Yeah,
That's what I
yeah,
do.
Yeah, go for some chelas, some coronas,
Exactly.
and
You can just go out and, just get rejected by women. That's awesome.
hell yeah. You may be rejected by women, but you're no longer in a doomsday cult. Think
Exactly.
about
But
that.
you already got out, you spoke to them.
You spoke to them, and you actually have a shot at um, getting some love for sure.
Yeah, I know. And if not, like, at least they saw you cry, and it's all fine.
All right, Caleb. So, a reminder for everyone: go check out Caleb's channel. It's super awesome. He recently posted a video on the what's it called again?
The Mormonification of the Jehovah's Witnesses. I think the Jehovah's Witnesses are becoming like Mormons in a lot of different little ways. So yeah, if you wanna check it out, I think that's the latest one. I've been working on it for a month, so please let me know what you think, because I actually want to know. Like, I've been cooking for way too long on that, so I kind of want to know if I'm right, or if I'm just if I'm way off base.
Yeah, no, go check it out, guys. Go subscribe to his channel. And yeah, the one final question from Father Fungus: are you the Caleb from the cartoons?
Yes, hold on. It's just, I know, I wanted to show, obviously today I wanted to show my merch, because this is my t-shirt that I made, obviously, right? But obviously, like,
Yeah.
I know that some people can't recognize me without, like, my signature, like, red t-shirt. So here it is. There you go. Can you believe that I had to make this because I couldn't find a single place that sold a t-shirt with, like, white stripes?
That's insane.
There you go, I'm Caleb. And if you still want to know, like, I also have a miniature version of me and of you, actually, made by Cam, who's here in the chat. I just had to put him in the background. Look at this. This is how I
Very
wanted to end the
nice.
broadcast. Look at this. Isn't this awesome? I even have it blunt. Look at this.
Oh my god,
Look
that's
at this. I'm
perfect.
smoking. This is awesome.
Hey, where's my blunt? Nah, just kidding.
No, I'm sharing with you. There you go.
I need a Corona in my hand. That's what I need.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, thank you for having me, though. This was
Yeah.
really cool. Like, I've never been interviewed. I wasn't like the worst at being interviewed.
No, you were great. And guys, thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoyed the stream. Go check out Caleb's channel. Go show him some love. And I'm excited to see all the future projects you have for us, because it's only up here from here.
Yeah,
We
I
have the
know.
great privilege of seeing this religion fall in real time, and it's super
Exactly.
exciting.
I just want to have a seat in the front row when this religion falls, and I think we are already seeing that. Like, I think we're already there. If I'm honest, like, this religion is gonna fall very slowly, and I think it's falling. It's gonna fall so slowly that we're already seeing it. It's very slow.
Yeah, for sure. So damn, thanks for coming, man, and thank you guys for
Yeah, thanks for
joining.
inviting me.
Yeah, and we'll see you on the next one. All right, bye.
Bye bye.